Okay, we're going to go 3, 2, 1, go. Here that robot's going to try to balance on the bridge. He's using a accelerometer to find the balance point, and he'll move back and forth until he finds it. How much time left?
We have 5 seconds.
Okay. At the end of autonomous, what happens is play stops for a minute. The referees quickly count up the score. So for the Blue Alliance, we have on the cliff, which is worth 3 points. Anything else?
No.
Okay, for the red, we have a balanced bridge, which is 15 in autonomous. Plus we have 5 in there, which is another 15. So 30 points for red, 3 for blue. We're playing blue 2-on-1 against red. So everybody picks up their controllers. We have a countdown again, and then it's everybody have at it.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
We'll go over them. Oh, I lost control. Okay, Samantha issues. Please stop my guy. Stop mine. Oh.
Thank you. Pinning, sir.
Yep. Okay. Normally you hit the black switch, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this robot, this was actually a better demo in some ways than you think. What happened here? We lost control of our robot. Reason? We're using a borrowed Samantha and the connection must have jiggled for a second. If you lose power to your Samantha or USB connectivity to the Samantha, you'll lose control of the robot. I would bet that at least half the matches we were in last year, we saw our robot do that. So we're going to try one more time, and this time, if we lose control, I'll step in and stop this robot only, and the other 2 robots will stay at it.
Want me to just
Start from the beginning. Oh, start from. We can restart teleop right where we're at.
Yeah, just start teleop now.
Are we connected?
Everyone is connected. So
Okay, so we're just gonna. It'll start teleop for us. Yeah, we're just gonna take off where we're at. So, yep.
3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, lost control again. We're gonna shut ours off. So we're a dead bot now. And there we go. Lost dead bot.
Lift up the arm, lift up the arm. Okay, that didn't work.
Normally there's a big clock here to play the time for everybody.
Yeah, we're just
Minute 15.
Oh no, that's not easy. Okay. And we're not getting off of there anytime soon.
So let's push them off.
1 minute.
Push them off.
All right.
40.
Yeah, they would. I think it's in favor.
35.
They shove their own.
30. 29.
Showing off.
5.
And that's good. The other one is holding race.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Balance.
Go.
Wow, look at that.
Okay. this is a bunch of what would have really happened. You see a dead robot, a robot turned over, one, and imagine that there had been another robot active on the field. It would have been more than a third busier because each robot takes up just a bunch more space. So any questions about what you saw there? Any comments from any of the teams that have done this before?
Expect Murphy to come in.
And hopefully this year, I mean, Samantha was new last year. It was infinitely better than what we had had in the past. And they have tweaked it this year, so it hopefully will be infinitely better than it was last year. But there's still going to be bugs. I don't, the fact that there are going to be qualifying tournaments this year means that we're going to see a lot of these issues in Columbus and Cleveland. Hopefully most of them will be ironed out by the time we get to the state championship, okay?
When we get to the build part, we followed the guide off the US First website on how we wired and supported our Samantha on our robot. I would bet that fewer than 5% of the teams bothered to do that. At the state tournament, one of the reasons the kids did well was the robot didn't break. I would say 80% of the robots broke at least one match where they lost, where they did what this one does, and Tom is stepping on and flipping off the robot, right?
Connection issues are a huge problem with the Samantha module because you have a cable that can be unplugged, so you have to follow the guidelines, as he said, to make sure that you secure the Samantha module and the cable properly, because that will kill you in competition. Because there's contact, you can see the field changes, the dynamics of the field. You go over a bump, get something wrong, then you lose communication, then you're done. So you got to spend a lot of time making sure that works well.
Okay, so are we ready to go to our another question?
Is there limits to how much pushing and shoving on the mat that you can do with robots?
There are limits, but the limits are so high that there's going to be lots of pushing, lots of bumping. There will be flipping. It's against the rules, but it's going to happen. You can run another robot into the wall. You can hold him there for less than 5 seconds. Once it hits 5 seconds, you're pinning, right? But
You have to referee.
yeah. Yep. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, we were looking at robots. There's a lot of things you gotta watch out for because, like you're saying, everybody's losing control. Like, well, do we pin if they lost control? And a lot of times it's just like parts get tangled together, so it's really tough to watch out for. But you generally just want to keep your distance from the other robots, especially if you're near dangerous objects like bridges or scoring stuff like that. But yeah, you're not supposed to be pinning. There's rules about keeping your wires and stuff tucked away so you don't get entanglement.
What do you need to build your robot to be able to deal with?
A lot of stuff. You got to make sure your parts don't fall off. You got to keep everything firmly attached. You got to keep your wires all bundled together. You got to make sure that you don't have any arms extending outside of the field. We saw a couple of teams where they wanted to try and like hook onto the walls, but there's some very fine limits on where you can be outside of the field.
Also, another thing, before each match, when it comes to competitions, you're going to want to go over your robot with a hex key at least twice, just to make sure everything is tightened and nothing's going to fall off.
Now we're doing robot build. Oh, sorry.
I have one more question. So let's say someone stalls in a critical place, or someone's purposely blocking. Can you move someone out of the way?
Yes. There are some instances where the referees can move a robot aside and flip it over. Yeah.
But what I mean is, can the team's robot move another robot out
Was
of the
it
way?
appropriate what 4251 did to clear their bridge?
FTC is a contact sport. We expect great professionalism from the team, but there is a lot of robot contact. Robots can shove each other, robots can push each other. You can't purposely flip another robot. You can't even have an attachment design to do that, or that risks. But yes, if you need to get someone off your bridge, it's okay to push them off.
But there was a Sherman tank out there last year.
We expect the teams to exhibit grace and professionalism. It's a contact sport, but it's not a brawl.
Do you know any of you guys watch football, you know the game of football. You're allowed to run into a guy, you're not allowed to take his knees out sideways. Okay? You don't want broken knees, but it's as Tom's saying, it's a contact sport.
It's very subjective, it is, but our referees are quite competent and fair.
Yep. So in this case, with a robot stuck on the end of the bridge, it was appropriate for them to move it far enough to be able to balance the bridge. Now, if they'd have driven over it and flipped it over and been over the top with that, they would have been penalized. But they pushed it 2-3 inches, cleared their bridge, backed up, balanced. That was entirely appropriate within the game. If somebody's blocking where you want to go, it's okay to move them if you can.
Yeah, if you're generally like a push and shove, the tricky part is if you're pushing against a wall so they can get stuck. The general rule is if the robot can back away or turn out of the way, it's not penalized. So if someone's just in your way, you have to go around.
Let me ask you, at the end stage, last 30 seconds, there's a lot different rules where you can't touch the other person's bridge and stuff. If they would have still been on that last 30 seconds, would they have been penalized for it?
We would have
Yes, they would be penalized.
Unless they were,
if the robot died or was performing erratically, we may have
Even if
considered.
it died, it shouldn't be on the bridge.
Right.
Okay.
So it wasn't.
And their problem is it wasn't dead, it couldn't do anything because of its abilities. I just want to make a comment, you guys are the Cougars, they did a lot of things right here, you guys. They lined up with the target and held it so that they could dump it in accurately. And, I mean, they just, they've done a lot of getting around things. When you go over top and you don't lose your, a lot of people lost half their batons when they went over top of the mountain there. So, and I think you guys also use a checklist before you part in. One of the teams came over, put the robot down, and said, "Oh no, we don't have a battery in it." Okay, coming to a field and putting it down without a battery. It's silly, okay? But those things happen because of everything going. You're trying to charge it and stuff, and so somebody ran back to get a battery, but by the time they got back, the match was going, and that robot stayed in the whole time.
Also, as soon as your robot goes over the wall of the field, you can't touch it after that. So you have to have your autonomous program set to run, and everything has to be in position, and then you set your robot down. You don't do any of it afterward.
okay, do we have, it's the time for us to get to our talks, I assume? We're gonna have a lot of time in the afternoon where we're building, we'll see the new field, and we'll get the chance to run robots as they get built in, right, Linda?
Yes, yes, and if you've got a bot that you want to try out on either field, you're welcome to do that, okay? We're running only 5 minutes late, which is amazing, because we started 15 minutes late. So we're doing something right, even though things seem to be out of order. What I'd like to suggest to everyone, if you have several team members here, you're going to want to hit all the workshops. So you might want to divvy up. There's going to be 4 workshops each session, okay, or each half hour. So try to split yourself up so you can get that information. You're going to, especially if you're a new team, you want to do the rookie team thing. You want to know, you learn about team selection or alliance selection. But one thing that really killed teams last year is the software inspection. So that's got to be critical. So like right off the, even though, and the engineering, all of those things are important, and you really need to be part of those. So make sure you have a team member going to as many as possible, even if that means they can't go together. Take good notes. Okay. And